Hi, this is I'm put this on my Paul Views and Opinions channel since this is a question that's been on the internet that somebody raised. So thought we'd have fun with this on the channel and do this little thought experiment. Somebody wrote, I don't know if they were high or whatever they were, but they said, what if you take 100 men versus one silverback gorilla? Do you think the men could win? Okay, now. I pulled up my phone so I could, get the facts about it, how much an average man is, probably like 5'9", I guess, depending on the man, depending on the weight. It could be anywhere between 180 to 200, depending on, what size or shape they're in. But they said the silverback gorilla, I looked this up, the dominant males of their troop typically weigh anywhere between 300 to 430 pounds. Okay, stand 4 feet 11 inches to 5 feet 11 inches. Okay, so that's the range, I guess. And their arm span can reach up to 2.6 meters, which is 8 feet and 6 inches. Okay, and the typical weight is, like I said, 430, about 300 to 400, and they have some larger individuals that can weigh up to 500 pounds. Now, now I also read somewhere that they said that bite force is bigger than a lion's bite force, which I thought was incredible. But that's what it looked up. Actually, let me look that up again just to be sure. The bite force of a silverback gorilla compared to a lion. Okay, what does it say? A silverback gorilla's bite force is significantly stronger than a lion's. Gorilla have a bite force of up to 1,300 psi, pounds per square inch, while lions typically have a bite force of 650 psi. Oh, God. Gorillas possess a remarkable bite force due to their powerful jaw muscles and strong teeth, particularly their large canines. Their bite force is estimated to be around, Jesus Christ. Something weaker than a gorilla. Jesus Christ. So basically, a silverback gorilla, has a bite force that's bigger than a lion's. Okay, almost. Okay, it says 650, right, for the lion? Yeah, 650, and which is, so the silverback has like more than double of the lion, which I thought is incredible. But you never see a gorilla. When they open up their mouth, you can see all their teeth. But Jesus Christ, that's incredible. Anyway, now thinking of this logically, or logically at least to me, I've heard people say these things, that maybe that you could dogpile the gorilla, just because the gorilla's not used to seeing that many men, because it's, unless it's raised in a zoo or somewhere. But if it's in the jungle, they're not used to seeing that many large group of men at any one point. So they may, and I know gorillas are like a lot more docile than chimpanzees, but gorillas still, they have to fight for dominance to lead their group. They have to fight other males, just like most other creatures and stuff. You want to be the dominant one that runs the family, you have to fight other gorillas. Okay, and I know that's how it is in most, group animals. Like prides and everything else. It's one dominant male, or in the case of lions, it could be multiple. But when you have one dominant male, usually in a troop and stuff, and that male, has to fight to maintain that position, in case he gets challenged or something. But anyway, I was thinking, like I said, some people said that maybe you could dogpile the gorilla because you could tire it out. But I was, again, because I think the specific question what the guy was saying was, if you have 100 dedicated men, and by dedicated meaning people that will go and they won't run away. Okay, because I was thinking, and I think that's what May say this in his video when I asked him the question. When some of those men, see that the first group of men get their arms ripped off by the gorilla and beaten with them and bitten and stuff and just slung around like rag dolls, that's gonna scare, at least that might scare half of them into running. So the gorilla may not even have to deal with the whole 100, because they might get, because think about it, you can't 100 men, depending on where you are, I guess you can't have maybe if, depending on how big the arena is, you could have 100 men maybe surrounding the gorilla, and then maybe if they charge all at once. Although, like I said, everybody won't be able to touch the gorilla. Even at that 100, it'll probably just be maybe a good maybe 3-3, maybe like maybe 12 or something on top of him. Okay, and then people say, well, maybe just dog pile them and get them tired that way. But like I said, the main thing is that there's gonna be a bunch of men dying because those first, if the gorilla realizes, like I said, if the gorilla doesn't run away and has that fight or flight instinct kicks in for that gorilla, he knows he has to fight these people to survive. Okay, and then he realizes after he grabs one of those men or two of them, and he realizes how fragile they are, that's how easy it is to rip their arms off, that he may just go ham and start ripping arms off and legs off and knocking heads off and just start beating people with them and stuff. And like I said, I don't care how dedicated you are. You see people arms and stuff get ripped off human beings, and people don't realize how fragile human beings are, how soft our tissue is, and how pliable it is compared to other animals and stuff. For us to get ripped apart, how easy it is for animals to rip us apart. Okay, that's why when you hear these horrific tales sometimes of kids getting mauled by dogs and stuff, and you go, oh my God. Because dogs have vicious, canines and stuff too. And so that's why you don't realize, how, just easy it is for animals to rip us apart, literally, okay, with their strong canines and stuff and claws and all that stuff. So, like I said, that gorilla realizes, that, once he engages with a couple of the humans, and he realizes how easy it is to just rip their arms off or bend their arms back. And you hear them screaming and howling and stuff, and he just goes ham. You go, oh, this is easy, and just ripping arms off and beating other humans with their arms and with their legs, and just absolutely destroying them. But I know people say again that silverbacks are, for the most part, docile, except when they have to defend their troops and stuff, and they have to fight for dominance. But other than that, compared to chimpanzees, they're a lot more docile. Okay, but they're still strong as anything. Strong as how they can, like I said, lift up 10 times their body weight and all this stuff. This incredible. And like I said, I don't care how dedicated you are. Okay, and May said that, and I firmly believe that. No matter how dedicated they are in the beginning, when they see people start screaming and you see the limbs start flying left and right, and people are screaming bloody murder. Okay, screaming. Oh, you see guys running away with one arm. With one leg or with no arms, the gorilla just went ham on them. That's going to scare a lot of people. A lot of that dedication is going to vanish, and those people are going to run away. They're going to go, screw this. They're not paying me enough for this. Okay, and so I do kind of believe that the gorilla would eventually get tired. Depending again, as long as these men are willing to engage and they won't back up. That's the thing. They can't back up. But human nature is human nature. But let's say they didn't do that. Like say the first 20 guys run in, okay, and the gorilla engaging with them and basically ripping their arms off and all that stuff, and then another 20 just comes along, and to get in there, I don't know how easy you gonna even. I mean, they could say that dog pile theory that you could just maybe smother him and stuff while he's ripping legs and stuff off him. You could. But still, whoever's going to be closer to that gorilla is getting raped. They're getting ripped apart, and that's why I just think it's an insane question. And I know people that they had simulations done of it, but again, like I said, you can't even 100 men. You can't. I know 100 men is a lot of men. Okay, but again, whoever's going to be that first wave going in there, you can just just count them out. Okay, depending, like I said, if that gorilla doesn't, be freaked out by, the sight of 100 men and may, decide to retreat. But if he decides to stand his ground, like I said, he figures out that these humans are easy to disable, basically. I could just easily just pull one arm out, pull one leg out there, knock a head off. When they figure that out, or bite an arm off, when they figure that out, and then he can just go ham and start ripping people apart. And like I said, those people, those other men are going to lose hope real quick, and I think gonna run away. I know people were saying all kinds of wacky stuff that you get 30 Samoans, 5 crackheads, and all this, trying to say, which makes it funny and stuff. But and I know Samoans are tough as anything, but a Samoan has nothing on a gorilla. Okay, so as much as I love Samoans, they don't have anything on a gorilla, on a silverback gorilla. Okay, a full-grown male silverback gorilla. Okay, that's fighting for its life. Uh, I don't think so. Again, because remember, these men have no weapons on them. You're supposed to basically fight with your bare hands against a gorilla, okay, who has these massive arms, has that bite force, okay, and can just beat and press and rip and tear and everything else on you. So my theory is that yeah, that even those 100 men, I don't give a crap how how dedicated they are. Once those body limbs parts start flying off left and right, they're gonna say, you know what, it ain't worth it, and some of those men are gonna run. Okay, they're gonna haul behind and to get out of it. They're gonna say, you know what, no, thank you. I don't want my arms and legs ripped off. Okay, self-preservation is a real thing. Okay, and no matter how much money you paying them, once they see those arms and legs start flying off, they're gonna go, you know what, I'll live to fight another day. Okay, it's not worth it. So, although that's a funny question. It's an interesting question because people have gone crazy with it and made videos and stuff about it and stuff. So, and also it reminded me too of those things about animals and stuff, that you can get 2 sets of animals, and then you have 10 other animals coming at you. You have 2 animals to protect you, and then you have like 10 other animals coming at you. Sort of like, because I did a video on, I think on this channel. I don't know if it's this channel or my other channel, my main channel, Trepacer, where they had about 12 superheroes, and so I think it was Thor, Spider-Man, Hulk, Superman, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, Wonder Woman, I think, Iron Man, Batman, and the Flash. And it's you had to pick 2 for that, and the other 10 were coming after you. And I think I didn't watch it. I got to go back and watch what I picked. But I think I would have picked Doctor Strange and Superman, just because Superman is Superman. Okay, so unless anybody has some kryptonite, you should be good to go. And Doctor Strange is a sorcerer supreme. He can, whatever comes at you, he can hex it to another dimension, okay, or hex you to another dimension to protect you, okay, while he's fighting off those people. And like I said, Superman is Superman. The only thing I worry about with that group of people that they have there, that you have Batman in there, and you have Iron Man in there. You have Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne in there, 2 of the smartest men in the world. And if they have enough prep time to know that they're going up against Superman and Doctor Strange, they might come up with a strategy to to overcome those 2 people. Which, again, those are 2 of the smartest men in the world, so in their respective worlds. So that could be a kind of a bummer if they know ahead of time. Excuse me. If they know, who they're going up against, and they could plan accordingly. Okay, like I said, Batman would probably get some kryptonite, and I don't know how you would maybe come up with a spell to trap. Maybe Batman would get Zatanna to, to bind Doctor Strange's hands or something like that. Again, like I said, with prep time, Batman and Iron Man, could conceivably overcome that. So. But I think that's what I wrote in my video. I'll link the video down in the description box here, because I think I wrote it on my other channel. I'm not sure if it's on this channel or not. About the 10, 2 to protect you, and 10 is coming after you. 2 to protect you, and 10 will come after you. And you had to pick what 2 you had to protect you. And then the animal one was about, like, I think it was like you got 1,000 rats. You got wolves, pack of wolves. I think you had 3 bears. Like 5 gorillas, some crocodiles, some hawks, some I think buffaloes. What else was there? And 1 hunter with a gun. I think that right. And there was a couple other things. I think that was the gist of it. A couple other things. And I know a lot of people took the 1,000 rats because they figure that those 1,000 rats can. I think it was 10,000 rats. Can overwhelm anything that's coming after you. And I think a lot of people, they picked the rats, and I think some guys picked the hunter, some picked the eagles, Uh, and some picked the wolves because they would be loyal to you, because it's a pack mentality. They would go all out. I know some people picked the gorillas, and then I think some people picked the bears. But I think a large part of them did pick the rats, because I think 10,000 rats can swarm and literally eat anything as it goes along. Okay, and that's how they used to torture people back in the olden days, with rats and stuff. So I think that's why people would pick them as one of the groups to protect you, because they could swarm whatever was coming after you. If the lions were coming after you, the wolves or whatever, the bears, they can have the rats just swarm and just literally eat as they go along. And then some people think the hunter, because they would have to have a large artillery. You can just have one gun, okay, and one hunter with one gun. I mean, you'd have to have a an arsenal, okay, so you could shoot things at a distance and stuff. And then again, there's no guarantee about that. So I know people thinking the wolves, because they're a pack, you get the pack mentality, they can farm wrestling. But I don't know how effective a wolf would be against a crocodile. Well, then crocodiles would have to be on land, okay, and they wouldn't be in the water, which I think they would be at a disadvantage, okay. But then again, you got the bears. Again, bears fight wolves all the time, okay, and silverback gorillas are strong as hell, okay. Same things bears. So I might have to take. I think it was 3 bears and 5 gorillas. I think. Uh, and I don't think I did that video, but I think I would pick the rats as one of the options, because the rats would over swarm and overwhelm whatever's coming at you, and then maybe the 3 bears, the grizzly. It got to be 3 gorillas, 3 big grizzly bears, or maybe Kodiak bears, because I think Kodiak bears are bigger than grizzly bears. Although grizzly bears are meaner, I think. Okay, and that way, those bears could rip apart anything that would come after you. Although the silverbacks are pretty protective too, and I think it would be 5 of them. That's 5 incredibly strong animals. Okay, so maybe the rats and the grizzly and the silverbacks would probably be the thing for that. But anyway, I just thought it was a fun video to make about about the 100 men versus a gorilla. And again, I think I would love to see a computer generated thing of that, how that would go. I know that you've seen people do a little, but like a full AI version of it, just to see how that would look. But like I said, again, people saying I think the key part with that guy saying was dedicated men, because you have to know going in, those 100 men have to know going in that a good portion of you are going to die, okay? You may win eventually, but a good portion of you are going to get your limbs ripped off, your arms ripped off, you're going to get bit, you may bleed to death, bleed out, get your head knocked off. Just going in, those men know, basically a suicide run, and and the best survivor. Again, like I said, maybe if the silverback gets tired after a while, after tired of ripping limbs and stuff off, then maybe I can dogpile on them and sheer weight of the numbers. If it's like let's say 20 men get ripped into shreds and stuff, and then everybody else starts to pile on the gorilla. Maybe you could tire it out that way. Okay, but other than that, I think you're dead meat. And I don't even want to think about what would happen with a bear. Okay, because a bear is, forget about it. Every time I think about a bear, if I think about a bear in this situation, I think about Timothy Treadwell, the grizzly man the guy who dedicated his life to bears, even though he didn't have any formal training and stuff. I saw the documentary, and that part that just haunts me is that part where he's in front of the camera talking, and he's talking about his Rowdy and I forgot the other bear. He's Rowdy and some they're part of a young up and coming sub-adult. They're challenging things, even me. Okay, and he basically says, "But I will not die by their claws and paws." Okay, I will survive. Kind warrior, and he wound up literally getting eaten to death by a hungry grizzly bear. Okay, him and his girlfriend literally got eaten by a bear. Okay, the thing that you think, and again, he did it for like 13 years before he met his fate. Okay, and again, I think he was pushing it literally, and I think somebody said it best that the bears didn't know what quite to make of him. Okay, so that's why he lasted as long as he did, because the bears, to them, he was just this weird thing, because humans never really came up on bears and stuff. Usually humans stay at a distance, but this guy was literally trying to put his camp in bear trails and all that stuff, and having these encounters and stuff with these bears, and the bears didn't know how to react to him until he made that fatal mistake of going back after he finished his expedition and going back up into the, going back there in late, fall when the bears are trying to, get, any bear that was out there was trying to, gain weight. So it was eating everything. And he made the mistake of being up there with his girlfriend with no gun, no bear spray, because he didn't want to hurt his precious bears, and didn't have an electronic fence, parked in the worst possible spot, and literally got eaten to death, okay, by a bear. And again, I just think, ooh, that's just what a horrible way to go. Because the bear, didn't just kill him right away. The bear basically literally started eating him, mauling him, and then started eating him alive. Okay, which is, I can't even imagine how that felt his last moments of life. It has to be horrific. Okay, literally getting eaten to death. Okay, by this bear that and bears was his life. But he made the fatal mistake of thinking he was a bear expert and being up there with no bear spray, no gun, no electric fence. Okay, and he was just pushing it, and nature just finally had enough. Okay, I think, and that was just the end of that. So that's why I think about Timothy Treadwell when I think about bears and all that stuff. And sometimes, I watch bear videos and I watch clips of his expeditions and stuff. And and I know people say he was nuts, and I think he was a little mental, and I think he went up there to basically, because I know he had an addiction problem, and he went up there to try to, and I think that made him join it, made him not do drugs and all that stuff. But he was, again, like I said, he was mental because he didn't listen to the experts who told him to not put your tent in a bear trail, do not, put an electric fence, carry bear spray and a gun, give the bears a wide berth. He did none of that. He basically broke all the rules, okay, and it finally just caught up with him. And that's why I think about him all the time. And that's why it makes me, long story short, it makes me think about, that 100 gorilla, 100 men versus one gorilla. Can you imagine? Let's say even 200. I'd say 200 men. I'm gonna say 200 men versus one bear, one grizzly bear. No, because bears have way more artillery to slash, and with their sharp claws and stuff, and their canines and their weight, they could just, again, and like I said, bears literally don't kill you. They literally start eating you, and that was, they maul you, and I think that's what the part that just freaked me out so much thinking about it. That bear literally started, when it started attacking him, it started eating him. Okay, it didn't kill him at first. It mauled him, and then it dragged him away. And I think he got away because the girlfriend came out of the tent and she was making some noise, so the bear ran away. But then the bear came back and grabbed him and just started chewing down on him and eating it, and just dragged him off. And then, I guess he got as much as he could out of Timothy, and then he went back for the woman, and I can't even imagine what she must have been feeling, hearing her boyfriend getting eaten alive and him screaming. He probably wasn't even screaming, because after a while, after the blood loss and everything else, he probably just stopped screaming. He just probably drifted into unconsciousness. Hopefully it was quick, but I have a feeling it wasn't, because that bear was literally eating him alive, and I can't even imagine that. And then she has to be in that tent by herself with no gun, no bear spray, no nothing, no electric fence. And I'm sorry, my heart does go out to her too, but I don't know how anybody with a sane brain can let somebody convince them to go up there without any of those items: electric fence, bear spray, and a gun. You're in bear country. I don't give a crap how much of an expert they said he was. If you don't have that stuff, you're literally asking to be mauled and eaten by a bear, because bear don't give a crap. Okay, you're in their domain. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling about that on a tangent about Timothy Treadwell. But yeah, again, I think that 100 men versus gorilla thing, and like I said, that dedication. People said 100 dedicated men to the cause. But as long as they don't mind being killed and mauled, eventually maybe they will overwhelm. That's what my final thoughts are with that, because eventually whoever goes in, there's going to be casualties. Okay, maybe like 10 to 20 casualties when that gorilla figures out that he can rip off limbs and all that stuff real easy and disable those men. And so again, why anybody would want to do that, Okay, I don't know, but it's crazy. Anyway, let me know what you think of the 100 men versus the gorilla concept. Who would you pick, and how would you pick them? Feel free to leave comments down below. In the description box, there are links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. Also have a link to my main channel, Trepacer, as well. Also have a link down below to my Patreon. It's only $5 a month, over 200 videos, 5 different categories, 5-minute preview clips of all the content. Follow the link. Also have a link down below to my merchandise store, where I'll sell hats, t-shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, hoodies for men, women, unisex. Follow the link that will take you to the store. Also, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Also, hit the subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload new content to this channel. And this is Paul saying so long and take care.